I had a guy inside me this week, and it's as painful as it sounds. Yeah. Happy Pride, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. I did get stabbed by a guy, though, with a sharp object, so he was inside me, in a way. But I did ask for it. It's not like it was a surprise, right? I feel like I'm not giving you enough information. I'm making this sound like something it's not. You see, I went to the doctor and I got what's called a trigger point injection. Do you know what this is? No? Yeah, that makes sense because everyone I've told this to so far has been like, I don't know what that is. Are you making it up, Gaurav? You do that a lot. I'm like, no, this is real. And they're like, yeah, well, first, when you started this whole sentence, I had a completely different idea. You said a guy was inside you. I'm like, no, he was. They're like, see, but that's not, it doesn't tell the full story. Because then you said a guy stabbed you. I'm like, he did. And they're like, all right, now I'm getting mixed signals. What really happened? And what really happened was I went to the doctor, and I've been struggling one of my legs, the right one, for some time now. It's been about 2 years. Oh, July 10th will be the anniversary of 2 years since I injured my right leg. And I haven't been able to figure it out, right? What's wrong with that right leg? I mean, it says it's right, so how could it be wrong? But that's something else. I'm talking direction. And the right leg, it's been giving me some grief, right? It's been a thorn in my side if the side was very low, if it was below my waist, and specifically my right calf or Achilles area. And for the past 2 years, I've been experimenting with doctors, right? Trying to find out what is wrong with this leg. How can we make it better, right? I had to walk with an insert for a few months, end of last year. Then I had to do physical therapy. I did Bowen therapy. I did shock therapy. I went through all these things, all these different types of therapy, but men still won't go to therapy. Am I right? No, I've done that too. It was a while ago, though. So maybe I need to re-up on that, huh? But the most recent, right, practice that we tried with my leg is called a trigger point injection. And I just want to give you a little disclaimer before we go forward that if you get squeamish at the idea of a needle being in the story, then look away. Avert your eyes and ears the other way, because I'm about to get into some excruciating detail. It's not really. Actually, please don't click away, actually. It's not that bad. Let me just explain it. Basically, they put a needle in my calf, and then while the needle is in my calf, they poke it in a few different directions. So there's a bunch of like little pokes inside that one hole. And they did that 3 times. And the whole procedure, right, these 3 holes, took a total of 5 minutes. It wasn't that long of a time. Each needle was probably inside my leg for a total of 1 minute. And while they were setting me up, right, they laid me down on my stomach and wiped up my leg, made it all sanitary so that I wouldn't get a leg infection. And they were like, so we're going to go ahead and get in your leg with these needles and then squeeze in some numbing agent that'll hopefully help the leg. And the idea here is there are some knots in my leg. That's kind of what we got into at this point. The diagnosis to be like, oh, this is what's wrong with his leg. We've ruled it to be knots. Yeah, that's right. I've been naughty for the past 2 years. But what's weird is it's only been hurting me. No one else is involved. It's just me being naughty by myself. And what fun is that? It's no fun. And so that's why I've been seeing these doctors. Paying this $35 copay? How dare they? You know what sucks also with these copays? I paid the copay. Then like a few weeks later, I got refunded the copay. I was like, nice. This is the universe, right? This is why we do it. I knew all that goodwill was going to come back my way, but I got a bill in the mail and they were like, you owe us $70. I was like, what? So I called them and I was like, hey, it says here I owe $70. What's that about? Because I did pay this once upon a time. You guys did refund it, but then why are you charging me again, right? Did I then do a bad thing? I knew you guys had cameras everywhere. I did ding that car on my way out of the parking lot. That's my bad. Sorry. And they're like, oh no, actually, our apologies. Something's wrong with our system. It's nothing on your end. It's just a glitch. We've been actually refunding people, so we have to bill you again. I'm like, okay, well, you know how at the beginning there you said it was on you? So why do I still have to pay? Shouldn't this be like a little, hear me out, right? You're a doctor, but let me provide you with a remedy. Because this was your mistake, maybe I get a benefit out of it? And they're like, come on. You're a funny guy, huh? Hey, you know what? I don't know what the doctor diagnosed you with, but it's clear that you still have your funny bone because that's a good one. No, please still pay us the $70, all right? We're a hospital, okay? We're a business. I'm like, oh, you said it. They're like, no, sorry. No, we're helping you. So help us help you. Pay us the $70. But I went to the doctor and they were like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and put these 3 needles in you. Shouldn't take that long. I was like, great. They're like, and we have the screen here and you can see the inside of your leg, and they turned it towards me. I was like, oh, wow. They pressed on my leg. I could see it press in. I'm like, oh my God, that is my leg. I don't know what it's called, but it's essentially like an x-ray, but for muscles. Maybe it's an ultrasound. I don't want to say that because I don't know actually what an ultrasound is, but it was my leg, and it looks like an x-ray, but for muscles. And they were like, do you want to watch it while we're doing the procedure? I was like, oh, huh, that's interesting. And then they pressed on my leg, and I saw it move, and for some reason that, just seeing my leg move in the little digital display, I was like, actually, I'm good. I don't want to see a needle poking and prodding around there. But the idea is, right, there's knots in my leg, and they need to poke the knot and put in this like numbing agent and basically open up the knots, right? And then let the muscles fall back into place. Because for the past 2 years, I've basically just been tightening and tightening my right leg, and it's never actually loosened up. So yeah, I got to go to the doctor to get loosened up in my lower half, right side specifically. And that's what they did. And then they were like, it's going to hurt a little bit, but it's nothing bad. Like, we're not going to have to numb you up at all. It's just going to be, a raw insertion. And I was like, oh, I've been here before. They're like, you shouldn't say that at a doctor's office. You should be using protection. I'm like, well, then why is there a double standard? Why don't you? And they're like, all right. And I don't like you pointing fingers here. But it's true. I paid $35 for them to stab me 3 times in the leg. And it sucked. It was 5 minutes. It was quick. But it was still bad. And I remember the assistant to this doctor, I don't know what her title is. I don't know if she's like an assistant or a nurse, but her name is Sheila, so I call her Sheila. I feel like she has the same kind of position as, Donna in Suits. She's like Harvey's assistant, but she's not an assistant. She's Donna. I feel like that's what Sheila is. Like, Sheila to me is just Sheila. I call her Sheila. She is Sheila. I feel like she does so much more than just like an assistant, So Sheila was in the room with us, and she was seeing me on my stomach, white knuckling this medical bed, those beige tan beds they put you on, and they put that white sheet over it, so in case you leave any of your human excess on it, they can just rip it off and then put a new one over, so it will be clean for the next person. Well, I was laying stomach first on one of those, just gripping the side of it, and yeah, my knuckles were real tight. That's probably the most pain anyone's ever been in a hospital, including pregnant women. First, I steal their word, ultrasound. Now I steal their pain. What else am I going to steal? Isn't it enough? But no, it was very uncomfortable. And I was making those noises that you make, like, ooh, ah. And Sheila was so nice. She said, is it painful or is it just discomfort? And I was like, oh, that's actually a really good distinction. I didn't even think about that. And in that moment, I was like, oh, you know what? It's not even like it's painful. Like, sure, it's sharp at times, but it's just wildly uncomfortable. And so her asking me that actually made me feel a little better, because I'm like, oh, you know what? It is just discomfort, because I feel like my body is being accessed in a way that it's not supposed to. Like, there's something in my leg. There's not supposed to be things in your leg. Just FYI, I don't know what you do on your weekends, but as a palate cleanser, I just want to remind you that things aren't supposed to be in your legs, especially not 3 needles. But when she said that and was like, oh yeah, is it painful or just uncomfortable? I was like, oh, it's uncomfortable. And then it became very palatable for the rest of the procedure. And then I also realized, I'm like, oh, it's nice to have someone to talk to while you're in pain. Because then for the rest of the time, right, the last 3 minutes, I kept talking to her. I'm like, how's it looking? She was like, oh, it's good. She was like, it's actually looking like your muscle's doing what it's supposed to. We don't actually have to go as deep as like the second layer or something. They said like the medical name of the second layer of muscle, but I don't know what the fuck they were saying. But it made me realize, oh yeah, even if you're in excruciating pain or discomfort, it helps to have someone talk you through it. So I guess moral of the story is, when a guy is inside you, it kind of helps to have someone talk you through it. And I did learn that. I'm like, oh yeah, just having a human to talk to, I don't know why, but it grounded me in that moment. Because when you deal with things alone, it can be kind of like, oh my God, am I dealing with this alone? Like, that's part of the reason you're freaking out. But being in a room of people that are like, hey, you good? Like, keep checking in with you. It was nice. I liked it. Could have done without the needles, right? And the dead leg for the next 2 days. It's weird. I drove home. It was kind of painful, right? There was like this tightness in my calf. I'm like, oh, that's not that bad. And I got out my car and I immediately couldn't put any weight on my right leg. And then the whole next 2 days, I'm better now, but the last 2 days, I've just been doing that thing where I walk around and I like hold desk and I like lean up against walls. I'm like, oh, oh. Because yeah, I couldn't put any weight on my right leg. But that's done now. And there's something else I've realized about doctors. You see, I got this ad for like some fatty medicine. I don't even know what they were talking about. I don't know if they were like, oh, fatty liver or fatty person. I don't know. There was something, they kept saying the word fatty in it, and it was like a medicine commercial. And they're like, oh, talk to your doctor if you need this fatty medicine. I'm like, what the hell is this? But they kept saying a bunch of weird names in it, right? Like a bunch of long names you would hear in biology. And it made me realize, oh, yeah, if doctors didn't use these big long names, I don't think we would take them as seriously. Like the fact that they say these big names kind of gives them credit, right? Credibility. And then we're like, oh yeah, you said that really long word that I don't know. So you know what you're talking about. But they could easily not. They just know very niche, esoteric information, so we put our full trust in them. Now, I'm not here running a don't believe your doctor campaign, but I do wonder what if they used funny, smaller words, like that weren't so smart sounding? Because what are the words they use, right? They come up with shit like peptoharglobitride, and you're like, oh, wow, that's nice. Or like, oxymerylacid, and you're like, what is that? And here's three. I actually looked up three real ones. There's polyethylene glycol, sodium lauryl sulfate, and hydroxypropyl methylcellulose. I don't know if I pronounced any of those wrong, but those last three are ingredients in Advil. But you hear that? Isn't that wild? Like if a doctor was like, yeah, we definitely need more polyethylene glycol in your system, you'd be like, oh, I think we do. But if he was just like, oh yeah, we need some more glorp in your system, you'd be like, all right, now you're making shit up. And I know I just made something up, but I feel like if you use not such sophisticated sounding words, yeah, we wouldn't believe doctors. Like everyone believes them now, right? But yeah, I do think that adds to their credibility because you hear doctors talk and they do the thing where they're like, oh, yeah, did you apply 55 cc's of this shit? And you're like, yeah, you guys are talking. I don't know what any of that means. And I think every field has this, right? Like in the computer world, it's like, oh yeah, did you check the memory configuration in the BIOS and make sure each memory bank was enabled? And then, someone that only owns a Chromebook would be like, what did he just say? And really, I didn't even say that many complicated words. I said memory bank and BIOS. If you know what those mean, you know exactly what I just said. But no, to the layman, right? All these industry-specific words give people credibility. Whether or not they deserve that credibility, I don't know. It's up to them to prove me wrong. But I think that does work in their favor, right? You ever hear people in these highly specialized fields use words that only exist in those fields, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Nope, hey, you got it. Whatever you want, right? That's why I think baking and cooking, sometimes people look at them and they're like, I could do that, right? What are they, melting butter in a pan? Yeah, I've seen butter before. I get that at the movies all the time with my popcorn. And, oh yeah, you just turn the steak when it gets a little darker, you turn it over. Yeah, that seems easy. See, there's nothing complicated about that. But if we turned, right, that process into some fancy seeming name, like, I don't even know what the fuck a fillet is. What does it mean to fillet something? I don't know. But it's probably a very simple procedure. But the fact that it's called a fillet, I don't know what that means. And that's why I think, people are like, oh yeah, cooking with, I don't know, like rice is probably simple. Oh yeah, you just like make the rice. It's like, now see, what does that even mean? What did you just say? But everyone knows what rice is. So we're like, oh yeah, I could do that. It's weird. I feel like people have more confidence that they could cook with rice than they do with quinoa. But they're probably very comparable, right? They're probably not too far off with what you have to do with each. But because rice is such a everyday household term, I think a lot of people would be confident being like, no, I know what to do with rice. But then you're like, all right, wash it. And they're like, you have to wash it? And you're like, all right, well, what is this even? What are we doing now? But quinoa, it's exotic. Ooh, it's like it's like the people that travel abroad during the summer and they come back. It's still rice, it's just a little darker. But we hear quinoa and we're like, oh, I don't know. I don't even know how to approach that. Ooh. So yeah, you hear a polyethylene glycol and you're like, whoa, what is that? And you hear Advil and you're like, oh yeah, I take that shit all the time when things get rough in my life. I'm like, okay, well, I don't think you should do that. But I see now why it's more approachable because you're used to it, right? It's kind of like when international students they come to school in the U.S. Maybe not anymore, right? Because we're putting a shut to that for some goddamn reason. But I remember my roommate's name in freshman year. His name was Zaichin Zhu, so naturally he went by Marco. And I was like, oh yeah, that's funny. To make it easy for Americans, he's like, yeah, just call me Marco. I remember I even had a friend who was like, oh yeah, my brother. He had a foreign exchange student come over and stay at his house, and he decided to pick an American name. I don't know what his Chinese name was, but his American name he picked was because he was a fan of the Lakers. And I don't know if you know ball, but there's a member on the Lakers, not anymore. He's been on the Lakers twice, but now he jumps between a lot of teams, and his name is D'Angelo Russell. So naturally, my friend's brother's foreign exchange student was like, oh yeah, I want to be known as D'Angelo. And we're like, all right, well, I mean, that's allowed. That's just a very bold choice. I don't know if I know any D'Angelos. I can say very confidently, I've never met a D'Angelo. Even this D'Angelo, I know him by proxy. And it's not even his name. That's his chosen name. Just because Americans can't say whatever his real name is. So yeah. I think when things are, dumbed down, they're a little more approachable. They're a little more Americanized, right? And that's why things are so bland here, right? There's no spice. There's no Zaichin Zoos. There's only Marcos and Polos. What are we doing about that? Oh, actually, I should have said there's only Marcos in Polos. Because the shirt, it's even like another added layer of blandness. I've noticed that people will say that AI can't understand them. But then, this week I was on TikTok, and 3 TikToks in a row I gave a like to. I liked it that much. I like those 3 TikToks enough to give them a like. And now I have the audacity to be like, AI could never understand me. Well, yeah, man, a fucking TikTok algorithm understood you to a T. It'll feed you the garbage that you're gonna love. Love enough to give a like. You know that holds a lot of weight. I don't know how well you know me, but it takes a lot for me to leave a like on something. The fact that a TikTok algorithm fed me 3 things in a row that I liked is insane. But I know that. I know AI is good. I think some people, I don't know if they just don't know the power of AI or maybe they're in denial a little bit. But I think people give themselves and humans too much credit, being like, we're so unique, we're so different. Everyone's like a snowflake. None of us are the same, which is true. But that doesn't mean you can't predict what a snowflake would look like, right? When it falls, using data and science. And I think that's what we're seeing with AI. I think, people are going to realize how predictable they are. Oh, that same meal you eat for breakfast and lunch and dinner every day? You don't think an AI could figure that out? You eat chicken, broccoli, and some other shit for dinner, and then before lunch you eat a protein bar, and you're like, no, that's my breakfast. You don't think an AI can catch on to that in a couple days of monitoring your routine and then giving you ways to fix it? Because that's not healthy. I do wonder, right? We're eating a lot of things like protein bars, and I'm like, that can't be good for you. I don't know what protein bars are made out of. Well, it's a lot of protein. Right. What does that mean, though? It's not a fancy word, right? If you told me the scientific name for protein, I'd be like, oh, yeah, we should eat that. That comes from the ground. But when you just say something is protein, I don't know. It can't be good for you. It's too pedestrian. I know what protein is. They put it on the label on the back in the big font, right? The things you got to look out for are the things on the small font, the ingredients, right? But yeah, I think people give themselves too much credit and think that AI, couldn't potentially understand a human. I think, and this isn't like a slight against humans, I just think this is the truth. I think humans are very predictable. And unfortunately, one of the things AI is going to make us see is that we are that predictable. Because I think we're unique in many different ways, but those unique things, yeah, they're not entirely unique as a whole. What is this guy saying? I don't know. Just like the way someone talks, right? It's unique to them, but it doesn't mean it can't be replicated. Maybe it can't be replicated by another human because that human's unique as well. But for a computer, it can probably figure you out. I think that's the difference. See, that's why it's the what is it? Advice people always give is don't try to be like someone else. Be yourself. You're unique. You're the only version of yourself. And that's so empowering. And they're true. No one will ever be better at being you than you. But that has only really applied to humans so far, right? Like, not any other human can be you better than you. But what about a computer? And I wonder, yeah, what is that going to mean for the future? Is this going to be something that people are faced with? And they're going to see AI basically take them on? I don't like to give into the whole, like, AI will be our undoing mindset, even if it might happen. But I did hear this and it did scare me a little bit. I'm like, oh yeah, you know how your grandparents right now, they get like text messages. They're like, oh no, your Netflix password has been compromised. Please click this link and we'll resolve the issue. And they don't even have Netflix. Well, I've heard that the next version of that is that your grandparents will get a phone call, actually a FaceTime call, and it'll be a video, an AI video of their grandchildren, and it will have their voice and it will have their face, and the child will plead to the grandparent and be like, grandparent, I need to get 3 needles in my leg for something called a trigger point injection. I know it sounds fake, but it's real. Can you please Venmo me $800? Or else I won't be able to get this procedure. And then they'd be like, okay, yes, I will do that. Because of course this is you. You're my grandchild. I know what you look like. I know what you sound like. And you FaceTime me. A computer couldn't do that. But a computer will be able to do that pretty soon here. And so that's the only thing that does kind of scare me. That. Phishing FaceTime calls? Ooh, that's going to be hard. Because yeah, I've seen things online where I'm like, I know how to tell AI, like I have a pretty good hit rate so far. But some things slip past. And I'm like, oh man. And it just sucks. It sucks. I've also seen people get accused of using AI even when they aren't. Like I've heard someone on Twitter be like, I spent 3 months on this thesis statement or something. And then I turned it in my professor and my professor was like, 44% of this essay was written using AI. And it's like, it literally wasn't. But it's like, how do you prove that? Because everything, again, just goes back to humans being predictable. Everything is derivative of everything. Like, what does it truly mean to be original? I don't know. I don't need to get in that conversation. But this is why we see, right, some music and we're like, oh, this music sounds like old music. And a lot of times it's just because it's sampled. But even when it's not sampled, it's because, yeah, we're humans. There's only so many ways we can go with the things we do. Of course, they are close to infinite, but they're still finite. And with the compute power of AI, it will show us the end of that road. It will show us how far humans actually go with their infinite capabilities. Again, I don't want to scare you. It's just something I've observed. One other thing I've observed is a bit I always do. You see, AI can't predict this. It's one of my most predictable bits. I realize one of the bits I always do is when I'm thinking of something and I can't think of the word for it, but it's like obvious what it is. I'll like think out loud and I'll be like, what's that thing? For example, I'll be like, oh, what's a holiday where you do all like the egg hunts? And if the person I'm with is like, you mean Easter? Like Easter egg hunts? I'd be like, no, not that. Maybe. I'll just do that. They'll say what the thing is that it obviously is, and I'll be, maybe. I don't know. It's something like that. That sounds familiar. I don't know. And then even if I like guess out loud, even if I say something wildly wrong, right? What if I'm like, what is that holiday where you do Easter egg hunts? They're like, yeah, you even said it. I'm like, no. Sorry, I misspoke. What's that holiday where you do like egg hunts? Is that like 4th of July? And I'll be like, no, you idiot, it's Easter. And then I'll be like, aren't we saying the same thing? I don't know why. That's one of my most used bits with people in real life. I'll be like, what's that? God, what's that soda? It's like Pepsi, but it's the opposite. What is that? It's like a red container. Someone's like Coke. I'm like, no. Maybe. I'm not sure. What is it? It's like there's a drink, right? A rum and, what is it called? And they're like, it's Coke. I'm like, no, I don't know. They pull up a picture. Is it this? Ooh. Well, I've seen that before. I don't know, though. It's like, it's not funny, but it is a bit I always return to. You know how people have those bits, right? That they do? Where they're like, No matter what happens, I'll always throw that in. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but they're like essentially in the same vein as dad jokes. I've identified that I have one of those. When I'm thinking of something so obvious and then someone gives it to me, I'm like, I don't know. Could be. It's not funny. Another observation I made is, why do politicians keep going on podcasts? Or why do they keep doing like media engagements and like talking to people out loud? The one I saw this week, I just saw a clip of it, but it was Ted Cruz talking to Tucker Carlson. I was like, what are you guys doing? And Ted Cruz looks like a dumbass in 93 seconds. I'm sure he looks like a dumbass for the rest of the time, but I only got that much of it. And I was like, why does he do this? He doesn't need to do that. Why do politicians go on and be like, I want to show my personality? I'm like, that's not your strong suit. Don't do that. They're like, I want to go on so that people will like me. In this new media age, I want people to see me for who I am. I'm like, hey man, you're literally in office to not be who you are. You need to try your best to hide who you are. Okay? Don't do that. I don't get why they do it. They keep doing it. I don't know if it's a trend because, other politicians have done it. So they're like, I should do it too. But I'm like, you're just hurting yourself. It's kind of like if you didn't know how to swim and then on a first date, you're like, hey, let's go to like Sunsplash. And it's like, hey, are you trying to not have a second date? What are you doing? That's like the last place you should be. Don't do that. Why would you do that? Yeah, I don't know. This thing I literally can't do. Let me put myself in a position to do that, to show people that I'm very capable. Why would you do that? A person with a peanut allergy going to a baseball game? Hey, do you want anything? I'm going to get some hot dogs and something. Yeah, just get a bunch of peanuts. The circus peanuts. That's the classic ballpark snack, isn't it? Lay that on me. And then, you're gripping your throat as they wheel you away on one of those fucking first aid mats. And I'm being like, what happened to him? He's allergic to peanuts, apparently. Didn't he explicitly ask for peanuts? Yeah, I don't know. I guess you could say he was a little nuts. You are what you eat. See, I'm telling you, AI can replace us. No, I don't know. I think AI can replace us, but it won't ever be able to replace us fully. Because the beauty about humans is they make mistakes. AI is programmed to not make mistakes. So, due to that very one fact, AI can never replace us. Unless it was intentionally worked into the code to, kind of fuck up once in a while. Which honestly is not that hard to do. So maybe it will replace us, won't it? But that's no reason to be scared of it. Whatever will happen with it will happen. Why am I talking about this? There's no point. Same as these politicians going on these podcasts. Why are they doing this? There's no benefit, right? I feel like a politician when I do this podcast, right? Because I should just be quiet, not say anything. This isn't getting me anything, is it? Doing this for over a year. And what's the return on it, huh? A small community that respects me? Oh, well, Gauruv, don't go that far. Oh, okay, sorry. A small community that likes to observe me from outside the cage like I'm a zoo animal? Yeah, that's all I've gotten. What's the point of it? Shouldn't I just recede back into my little corner and do what I can do best? Peddle the same 5 truths about engineering over and over on my main channel? I don't get, what? I see these people on the internet and I'm always like, how do they make a whole like online persona about this one thing, right? Like these people that are like, oh, I talk about, right? I don't know, hot air balloons. And I'm like, how much is there to talk about hot air balloons? But then you go to their channel and they just kind of repeat the same few things over and over. It's the same thing with like motivational speakers. I'm like, they are the most, prolific people on the internet. They post so many clips, so many talks. And then I realized by watching some of these, I'm like, oh, they just keep saying the same kind of things, but in different places. And they upload those and that becomes kind of their dominant message. And I'm like, oh, I can just do that for engineering. So I feel like now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm okay if I repeat myself. In fact, it reinforces my message that I believe it that much. And I feel like some people, right? And I had this mindset for the first 7 years I was on the internet. I was like, once I say something, it's burned. I can never use it again. I even do this in real life. If I tell a joke to someone in real life and I talk to someone later that day, I won't tell the same joke because it feels wrong. Because I'm like, you're just getting something I already gave someone. I feel bad for doing that. I remember even I had an apartment tour years ago, and you had to take stairs to get up to my apartment. I remember the first group came, and I was like, "Yep, we'll just take these stairs up to my apartment." And these are stairs, by the way, and I don't trust them. You know why I don't trust them is because they're always up to something. And they laughed. It was a funny joke. The second group that came to visit my apartment, I told them, I was like, "These are stairs. Now, I'm scared of them." Nah, never mind. I was like, I was gonna tell you guys a joke, but I was like, I told it to the group that visited before. It feels wrong to tell it to you and try to pass it off as a funny joke I thought of in the moment. And they're like, "Well, Garv, now we want to hear the joke because you just said all that." I'm like, "Well, I was gonna say these are stairs. I don't trust them because they're always up to something." They're like, "Oh, that's funny." I'm like, "Yeah, is it now after all that?" So I don't feel right when I say something once and then say it again later because it's like, oh, what is that? Just like, are you repeating a bit or like a script to me? What makes you human, man? This is why AI is going to replace you. I'm like, oh my. But no, I realize you need to repeat yourself because it really drives the point home. If you ever considered doing something creative, this is sincere, genuine advice I have for you. Keep posting about it. I remember I've been making YouTube videos for now 8 years. What the fuck? But I remember about 5 years in, there's someone from my high school. They watch all my Instagram stories. They interact with my content. 5 years in, they DM'd me. And they're like, "Hey, Garv." I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Oh my God, I had no idea you had a YouTube channel. I've been watching it. It's really good. Keep it up." I was like, every time I post it on my Instagram story. I see you watch them. What do you mean what do you mean? So if you've ever worried about like, "Oh no, I made a thing, I don't want to promote it," promote the shit out of it. Because you never know when you post something, will someone see it? And that is kind of why I keep showing up for this podcast, because I do believe in it. And I think that if I just keep showing up, it'll eventually, you know, see the light of day. Tyler, the creator, he had this really good piece of advice. I think he does. If you look up Tyler, the creator interviews, or, he usually talks to groups of people. Look up Tyler, the creator interviews if you're a creative person seeking inspiration. But one thing he said, he was like, "Why would I work on an album for months, years, and then post it once on my Instagram story and act like it never happened?" He was like, "I poured my fucking heart and soul in that shit for 1,000 days. Why would I not scream from the rooftops that I completed it and I want everyone in the world to see it? If I just wanted to pop in and be like, I did this, and then disappear, why the fuck would I have spent that much time on it?" So if you're doing anything creative, keep showing it to the people. Even if it's the same people, keep reminding them that you're serious about that shit. I think it'll be better for you. And something that would be better and best for me is if you would leave a like on this video. I need them, I appreciate them, and I know you'll do it. I just need to remind you. And a reminder to stick around, because I'll talk to you next week. Okay?